My name is Eric Dean Emmerich. I'm the youngest of Dean Slavens' grandsons, youngest son of his two daughters. All of his direct descendants are here today. Grandpa Dean was many things to me: a stalwart fan, a skilled coach, a dedicated teacher, a conscientious gardener. He wore many hats. No, seriously, think back to all your memories with Dean. How many times did you see him not wearing a hat? It is an honor to be in the concentrated presence of so many people he touched and affected, and we're all here because of him. That's really special to be around. Some of my earliest memories of Grandpa Dean are from time spent in and around his garden, his huge garden at their old house out by Washington Center Elementary here in Whitley County. It was always beautiful, lush, and well cared for. I especially remember the asparagus, the tomatoes, the peonies. Though I recall as a very young child panicking when I realized the flower buds had ants all over them and began to frantically brush them away. Grandpa stopped me, and I got a memorable lesson about biological mutualism. They actually help each other, the ants and the peonies, to both of their benefits. It's actually a common myth that the buds require the ants to open, but as with most things, it's not quite that simple. Maybe one of you who took his class could fill us all in on that afterwards. I'll meet you by the peonies at the east side of his house. There are ants on them, I checked. Grandpa knew the value of planting seeds, and not just the planting of the seeds, but tending to the developing plants that broke through the soil, giving them what they needed in the right amount, at the right time. Gardens he tended always had a distinctly well-managed look to them. That kind of care led to many, many bumper crops. Dean Slavens was a gardener. It was his love for the natural world that absolutely must have made him a great biology teacher. I never got to be in one of his classes myself, but I expect a great many of you here did. I'd love to hear all your stories, so feel free to come up and tell me your best ones later. While I didn't hear him lecture about the Krebs cycle or sexing an anesthetized Drosophila melanogaster, I did have the opportunity to call him coach. When I was at the advanced age of 9 years old, I retired from track and field. With Grandpa's guidance from a tender young age, I had reached absolute peak physical form and plateaued with a blistering 3:38 800-meter dash. And that was at a local open meet, a record I was sure could never be beaten. Enough, I thought, to hang up my Reeboks for good. My brothers, on the other hand, didn't retire as I did. Brent and Bradley ran cross country and track. I think Brent used to run a mile in under 4 minutes, and I think Bradley, if you ask my grandpa, could probably jump to Allen County from here. That's how I expect he told the stories anyway. For those wondering, I did come out of retirement. Something my grandpa and I have in common: we just don't quite fully grasp the concept of retirement. I joined Canterbury's track team. And wouldn't you know it, so did Grandpa Dean. All 4 years I ran those ovals with him in the infield, scowling at his stopwatch and hollering at me splits, pushing me little by little to do just a little bit beyond what I thought I could do. We ran drills in every weather. We stretched. We had interval training. We did fartleks. Not funny. They are a legitimate form of training exercise. Anyway, we were prepared. My teammates and I could see improvements in our times and be surprised about them, but Coach Slavens never was. He knew the program, and he knew exactly what he was pulling out of us. Our best. If we ever interrupted his coaching, he would share a thought I'll never forget. We have, anybody know it? 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we listen twice as much as we talk. got to be careful of that. So if I go too long, you let me know. Dean Slavens was a mentor, a coach, and a teacher. Now, I didn't write this next part. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So if you'll just bear with me, I've got a little bit of extemporaneous speaking. My grandpa was a fan. Just a fan. In fact, he was a supporter of maybe the majority of us in here. He would be in the stands for any event. I'm sure that calendar Pastor Dilly mentioned was filled with just events that he wanted to go and watch to support somebody. You'll remember, he didn't really sit in the stands. Not someone who ever let grass grow under his feet. I remember being at Columbia City High School watching my brother or just the Eagles doing whatever, and he'd always be. He was always there. He wouldn't miss a sporting event if he had any other way of saying about it. I'm not sure he ever understood the sport of soccer. And that's the one I ended up playing. My brothers took all the good ones, so, you know. No, I loved soccer from a very young age. I got started playing Y-ball up in Columbia City. And, for me, he didn't get soccer, but he watched. And when I was playing, he liked it.
That's the only time.
And I don't take offense to that. Everybody's got their thing. But he was at every single match my senior year on our way to a state championship. And he was there when I scored a goal at regionals. I got a picture with him in front of the goal I scored on. He was there to give me a hug when we won that state championship, and I got to hold that trophy. He was just an ardent supporter. I live in New York now. Another thing he probably didn't understand, but supported me nonetheless. He called me every week. In fact, when I couldn't answer, he'd leave me a voicemail, usually about 12 seconds. Hey, just calling to check in, wonder how you're doing. How about those Boilermakers? Call me back. I've got about 100 of them saved in my phone right now. I'll get to listen to those later. A few of those voicemails he left, he would say things like, proud of you. You got the Big Apple handled yet? I know you're going to do great. Just little words of encouragement. I had the distinct honor in 2018 to take him to his first ever in-person Yankees game. Get to see the Bronx Bombers live. I reckon growing up in the 50s, why wouldn't you be a Yankees fan, right? You had Mickey Mantle to watch on TV. Probably. It was a really special thing to get to support his fandom and help him see something that he'd loved all his life but never seen for himself. Go Yankees. Dean Slavens was a fan. Some of you knew my grandpa decades before I was born. Others only met him recently. I got to spend over 29 years with him. Came into each of our lives at different times and in different contexts. Whatever the circumstances, though, what we all have in common is that he made an indelible impression. Or we wouldn't be here together now. The seeds he planted in us, the competitive drive to be just a bit better today than we were yesterday. He sharpened that in us. the constant presence of someone believing wholeheartedly in us, that we each carry forward from this place in this moment. To me, that is the legacy of my grandpa, Dean Slavens. Thank you all for being here.